Alright, let's start with some national news. First, we're a grand elephant race and a man flying in a power glider over thousands of bemused spectators ceremoniously ended the annual rural sporting spectacle in India's northern Punjab state on Sunday. The sports festival, founded in 1933 and held in Kila Raipur, includes about 40 to 50 events and is a blend of the accepted sporting disciplines and other more unusual pursuits. The magnificent Mughal Gardens, hosting hundreds of varieties of flowers in the compound of the Indian Presidential Palace in New Delhi, will open for public for about a month from Tuesday. The British-era gardens, built in Persian-styled architecture, spread over a vast stretch of about 15 acres, boast of roses, tulips, Asiatic lilies, daffodils, hyacinth and other seasonal flowers. Bird enthusiasts in India's western coastal city of Mumbai thronged the Thane Creek Flamingo Sanctuary to witness the splendid sight of hundreds of flamingos and other migratory birds in the subtropical mangrove forest. Over 205 species of the birds visit the sanctuary every year. Alright, let's now move on to some international news now, where an Amtrak passenger train, apparently travelling on the wrong track, collided with a parked CSX Corp freight train in South Carolina on Sunday, killing the engineer and conductor and injuring at least 116 other people. This is the railroad's third fatal crash in as many months. The Amtrak train 91 was carrying 139 passengers and 8 crew members to Miami from New York when it hit the freight train near Columbia. The former chief of the CIA, John Brennan, has slammed the Republican Devin Nunes for his handling of a controversial GOP memo alleging anti-Trump bias in the Russia probe. The memo, that was written by Republicans, argues that the federal investigation of potential collusion between Trump's 2016 presidential campaign and also Russia was a product of nothing more than political bias against Donald Trump with the Federal Bureau of Investigation and Justice Department. The United States is considering restricting imports of Venezuelan crude oil and exports of U.S. refined products to Venezuela. The U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson has said this to put pressure on socialist President Nicolas Maduro to return to the Constitution. Tillerson, on a Latin American trip that also includes visits to Mexico, Peru, Colombia and Jamaica, has raised eyebrows on Friday after he suggested that Maduro could be toppled by his own military. The Costa Ricans vote for a new president on Sunday in a race upended in the final weeks by a debate over the same-sex marriage as leading candidates in the crowded field fiercely opposed gay rights that have recently been expanding in Latin America. The conservative Christian singer and television personality Fabricio Alvarado skyrocketed to the top of the 13-person field. If no candidate wins at least 40% of the Sunday's vote, then a runoff election with the top 2 finishers is set for early April. A group of women in Heredia have voted in Costa Rica's presidential election, dressed up as characters from the series The Handmaid's Tale, to protest for women's rights on Sunday. The videos and stills shared on social media showed the women being cheered as they entered the polling stations and later cast their vote. The Cypriot President Nikos Anastasiades has won a second 5-year term on Sunday. This as voters gave a big thumbs up to his record in containing an economic meltdown in 2013 and his attempts to reconcile with the estranged Turkish Cypriots on the ethnically split island. With all votes counted, the Conservative had about 56% of the vote share against 44% for the leftist-backed Stavros Malas. The Ecuadorians on Sunday voted in a referendum on whether to prevent unlimited presidential re-election, with polls indicating the motion will likely pass and also block former leftist President Rafael Correa from returning to power. At a rally on Sunday to commemorate the former President Hugo Chavez's initial coup attempt, Venezuela's President Maduro said that the government will set a date for the election on the 5th of February. Maduro has said in the past elections must be held before the end of April. Now, during the rally, Maduro asked his supporters to vote for him in exchange for economic prosperity. German Chancellor Angela Merkel's Conservatives and the Social Democrats failed to conclude coalition negotiations in time to meet a Sunday deadline, but have made some progress. Germany's potential coalition partners are due to continue talks on Monday. The members of the right-wing Alternative for Germany party visited the Prez Palace in Crimea's Yalta. The palace is famous for the Yalta Conference that was held there in 1945 between US President Franklin Roosevelt, British Prime Minister Winston Churchill and Soviet leader Joseph Stalin. It was also a summer retreat of the last Russian Tsar Nicholas II and his family. The Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has said that he was determined to find out as to who supplied rocket launchers to the Syrian Kurdish YPG militia who carried out a deadly attack on Saturday on Turkish soldiers in AFRIN. The attack left about 5 Turkish soldiers dead. Kate Middleton, Britain's Duchess of Cambridge, released a video message on Monday to lend her support to Children's Mental Health Week, set to run from the 5th till the 11th of February. Her husband, Prince William, Kate and Prince Harry have made campaigning about mental health one of their priorities, with both the royal brothers saying in recent months as to have their mother's death in a car crash when they were children had left deep emotional scars. Record snowfall hit Moscow for the second day in a row on Sunday, wreaking havoc on transportation, resulting in 1 death. The Moscow mayor has said on Twitter that 1 person was killed and 2 others were injured after the storm caused a tree to fall, damaging power lines on Saturday. According to local meteorological authorities, accumulated snowfall reached about 62 centimeters deep over the weekend, nearly equal to the total amount of snowfall for the entire month of February in previous years. Heavy snowfalls caused traffic problems in Spain on Sunday. The police closed at least about 18 roads across the country, while drivers were required to use tyre chains on another 90. The Spanish National Weather Agency issued a snow alert advising that snowfall is expected during the next 6 days in areas that were located about 300 meters above sea level. Spanish Prime Minister Mariano Rajoy has called on Catalan separatists to choose a regional leader who respects the law when they replace the exiled former leader Carles Puigdemont. Rajoy has said that he hopes that the Catalan parliament selects a leader who sees things the other way and acts as a political leader. The pro-Brexit lawmakers could be plotting to topple Prime Minister Theresa May if she tries to keep Britain in the EU's tariff-free customs union. These reports have surfaced just ahead of the crucial cabinet meetings over Britain's future relationship with the European Union later this week. The hundreds of thousands of Greeks rallied outside the parliament in Athens, protesting against the use of the term Macedonia in any settlement that the government pursues with the ex-Yugoslav republic to end a decades-old name row. The streets in central Athens turned into a sea of people waving blue and white Greek flags in what the locals said was the largest gathering in over decades. Several hundred Palestinian mourners on Sunday attended a funeral procession for a Palestinian teenager who was shot dead by the Israeli soldiers during an arrest raid in the occupied West Bank. The Israeli authorities tore down 2 European Union-funded classrooms that were part of a school for Bedouins in the occupied West Bank because they said that they were built illegally. The Palestinians have condemned the move by the Israeli government. An airstrike by the Saudi-led military coalition in Yemen has hit a government building and has killed at least about 3 people on Sunday. The government building conducted criminal record checks and also has issued some good conduct certificates to civilians who had been given clearances. The prime surviving suspect in the Islamic State attacks, which had killed about 130 people in Paris in 2015, goes on trial in Belgium today. He's charged over a later shootout with Brussels police before he was arrested. The 28-year-old French citizen will be ferried daily from France under heavy security to the main courthouse in Brussels. The Pope Francis has invited Roman Catholics and members of all other religions to observe a day of prayer, fasting and initiatives for peace on the 23rd to violence and conflict. The Francis, speaking to tens of thousands of people in St. Peter's Square for his weekly blessing, said that he was making the appeal because of the tragic prolonging of conflicts around the world. The third-party assessment team for China's poverty relief efforts in 2017 has announced on Sunday that they have completed a sampling survey of more than 24,000 rural households and also accomplished the assessment. The statistics revealed that more than 12.89 million people were lifted out of poverty last year in China, according to government estimates. Dexter, the emotional support peacock, was denied boarding by the United Airlines on the 27th of January to the dismay of his owner and amusement of passengers by the flight attendants in New Jersey. A video that's been shared on Twitter shows the animal casually perched on his owner's shoulder as she walks into a Newark Liberty International Airport. The reports suggest that the United Airlines stopped the animal from boarding the flight, claiming that it did not meet its size and weight standards, amongst other reasons. The Florida Atlantic University marching band performed for US President Donald Trump and First Lady Melania Trump on Sunday at the Trump International Golf Club in West Palm Beach in Florida. The Trump later greeted members of the marching band before heading back to the golf club for a Super Bowl watch party. The Super Bowl fans turned the city of Minneapolis and US Bank Stadium into a party on Sunday as the New England Patriots seek their 6th Super Bowl title and the Philadelphia Eagles their very first one. Neither snow nor slush nor sub-zero temperatures kept fans from celebrating the virtual holiday that is Super Bowl Sunday as massive crowds descended upon the game venue ahead of the big game. The Olympic torch relay continued on Sunday with runners carrying it through Taipei, the highest city in South Korea. The torch bearers were among 7,500 people who will have carried the torch before the opening ceremony of the 2018 Pyeongchang Winter Olympic Games on Friday. The joint Korean women's ice hockey team had their first game on Sunday, a friendly match against Sweden ahead of the Pyeongchang Winter Olympics, while outside the venue protesters condemned the North Korean regime. The Spanish town has hosted the 5th International Wind Games, where some of the best 200 flyers in the world competed in 8 categories to become the best indoor skydiver. The Spanish athlete Cesar Rico was named the fastest flyer in the world after winning in the solo speed category. More than 1,500 Chinese workers used only less than 9 hours to finish changing several rail tracks at a station in the Longyang city of East China's Fujian province last month. The project included removing 3 old tracks, laying 5 new tracks leading to a new platform, as well as installing new power supply and communication systems. An Egyptian archaeological mission has discovered an old kingdom tomb of a lady named Hetpet, who is assumed to have been a top official in the royal palace during the end of the 5th dynasty. The tomb was found during excavation work carried out in the Giza Westfield Cemetery, which houses tombs of the old kingdom's top officials, and was discovered by previous archaeologists back in 1842. The hundreds of thousands of migratory birds wintering in the Yellow River Delta National Nature Reserve created a spectacular scenery in East China's Shandong province. This spring started in the country. At least 60 species of the birds have been spotted in the nature reserve, including swan, red-crowned crane, great bustard, oriental white stork and white crane.